Welcome back to Copyright, and today's stories come from r/relationships. Let's get into today's first story, shall we? Posted by Environmental Cat 6316. I, 28 male, girlfriend, 27 female of 3 years, is reluctant about having kids, and I definitely want at least 2. I want to propose and get married, but having second thoughts. Am I thinking too much into it? TLDR, right off the bat, I want kids, but even after 3 years of relationship and 2 years living together, I'm not sure if my girlfriend wants kids, or if she really embraces this at all. I sometimes even get a feeling that she thinks it's expected of her to have children. On the other hand, I'm looking forward to having a family in the next 5 years, and I'm struggling with the question of, am I wasting my time? I desperately need someone to talk to about this. The lack of a concrete answer from her part is killing me. I've always wanted kids, I like them, they like me, and I want to provide for and raise a little human being or two. I've always been the happiest around children of all ages, and I've somehow always known I was a family man. On the other hand, my girlfriend isn't entirely sure, and that's where this post stems from. We've talked several times about having kids, and every single time she gave the same answers. She likes kids but wants to make something of a career, thinks kids will wreck her body, she would consider having kids in 5 years when she's 32, and she really isn't into it, but everyone, her family and friends included, expects her to have kids, so she probably will. All of the reasons sound completely fine, and I'm totally okay with everything, but numbers of maybes, probablys, likelies is what really throws me off. She always ends discussion saying she'll likely have kids, but I have this awful gut feeling she's just saying that to reassure me. I don't want to pressure her into it, it's her choice. It sounds to me like deep within her, she doesn't want children, yet she feels forced into having them because having kids is what most people do. I think that if I don't want kids, she would gladly say yeah, I'm fine not to have them. The lack of enthusiasm about it is what's bothering me. And to make it clear, I don't want kids now, but I am 28. Sometimes she gets a pregnancy scare. I always tell her it's fine and we'll figure it out, and that I, given our age, would actually consider keeping it under the right circumstances. On the other hand, she is absolutely terrified. Be honest, am I wasting my time, or is this way too early to be thinking about any of this? I'm this close to having a serious conversation with her about marriage and everything, and this is practically the only thing that's given me second thoughts. Edit. Okay, wow, this blew up. Never expected more than a handful of comments. Thank you to everyone who pitched in. I've read through most of the comments and messages, and the general consensus is that her maybe is actually a very close to a no. Exactly what I was afraid of. I'll have another talk with her, probably tonight, and pay very close attention to what she's saying. And after reading this one, all I can say, Opie, is you need to have a serious conversation and ask her straight on if she is ever going to have kids, or if she is just saying that because she doesn't want you to end the relationship. Because this sounds like this is a deal breaker for you, and she doesn't want to say no because you'll move on. So she's just saying what she thinks you want her to say, which is not a no. And if it is the case that it's a no, and that this is a deal breaker for you, then I am very sorry, Opie, but move on and find someone who wants the same things in life that you do, family-wise. This next post is by Rodini. Looking at my friend the correct thing to do here. Hello, not really sure where to start this. I'll just give some context about the situation. I had feelings for this girl and confessed to her and everything about 4 months ago. She rejected me and I was basically friend-zoned at that point. I was fine with us just being friends, and we continued to talk almost every day. She has a male best friend, and she shared the fact that I confessed my feelings to him. Today we were on a video call, and all of a sudden she said she was gonna add him to the call. Now I don't even know the guy, but I was fine with it if she was going to do it for the purpose of getting to know each other. As soon as he hops in the call, he starts making jokes about me, calling me a fallen soldier, which is a name given to people who were rejected after confessing their feelings. He was also joking, saying how he has to be careful about what he says because I may look for him and beat him up. I am fit and train martial arts, so I guess he looked at my social media. The call was very awkward for me. The two of them seemed like they were having a field day, but I didn't like that at all because I don't know him at all. I could tolerate a lot from people that I know, including her, but for someone that I've never talked to in my life, I don't tend to tolerate anything. I exited the call, and moments later she starts texting me, saying why I did that. I expressed to her that I felt uncomfortable with the fact that she shared something private such as that to him, and not just that, but the fact that she lets him joke about me like that when he doesn't know me and I don't know him. I told her that I would never let someone that doesn't know her joke about her, and I truly mean that. I also told her how that could show that they may talk more bad things about me that I don't even know. Instead of reassuring me or giving me a proper argument, she said that I took everything out of context and how he actually means the fallen soldier thing as a compliment, which I don't get at all, because it's only associated with guys who confess their feelings and get rejected. Then she went on to add that she wanted it to be a phone call, but that unfortunately I had to take everything out of context. My response to that was just me reiterating that I felt really uncomfortable knowing that she shared something private and even allows people to make fun of it. Then I said to her that I never once spoken badly of a friend, not even as a joke. I finished it with saying how I just wish that she would get in my shoes. Her response to that was super dry. If that's the way you think, it's fine. That response told me how little she cared, to be honest. I ended up blocking her on everything right after. Now listen, I understand that she could give favoritism and defend the guy best friend. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do, right? But it just sucks to know that I did so much for this girl. This is how I'm being paid back. To say I now have trust issues is an understatement. I mean, I spewed my heart out to her, telling her how I felt, just for her to talk about it with other people behind my back, and her response felt as if she didn't care. To add to this, there's way to say that I felt her being different lately, more distant, more cold. I don't know if it has anything to do with it. Let me know what you guys think, whether I made the right choice or not. First, I'm feeling sad AF right now. Thank you for hearing me out. LDR, my friend told the guy best friend about how I confessed my feelings to her. Months after it happened, she adds him on a call and immediately starts making fun of me for it, even though I don't know him. I left the call and told her how uncomfortable that made me. Her responses were really dry, showing that she cares very little about how I feel. I respond by blocking her. Now I'm wondering if I made the right choice. Let's hop into the comments, shall we? And this one comes from RobotGod8, who says, no hesitation, you did the right thing. You crossed the line by sharing your private feelings and letting her friend mock you. Use her friends to respect your boundaries and feelings. Keep your head up and move on. And I don't think I can give any better advice than that. She's not your friend. That is clear from this, and has clearly been sharing what you told her, and her friends have been laughing and joking about it behind your back, which clearly has not made you feel good. It wouldn't make anyone feel good. But that's not a friend. And that call, that wasn't jokes, that was just mocking, bullying. It was very demeaning and sad, and yeah, you did the right thing. Move on. There's much better people out there that you can be friends with, and I'm sure you even have better friends than her, so don't look back. This next post comes from BBKZ. Best friends secretly sabotaging my relationships with girls. Hi, close friend of mine is extremely jealous and envious. He has some narcissistic personality disorder traits. Every time I get in touch with girls, all of a sudden the girls become disinterested after he has spoken to them. Every time I hook up with a girl and he talks to them, they become disinterested and don't want to stay in touch. I'm really curious as to what he could possibly be saying to scare them away. I asked one girl whether he said something about me. She said no, but I'm 100% sure he has said something negative. Every time I date with a girl and he's not in the picture, everything goes well, and the girls always stay in touch, whether it be dating or just texting. Everyone around me knows that he's the jealous and envious type. I'm just curious as to what exactly he tells them, and what could possibly be that bad that the girls act distant and act like I don't even exist anymore. TLDR, how do I find out whether my friend is secretly sabotaging me? And let's hop into the comments. This comment comes from RobotGod8. Yo, time to ditch this so-called friend. No need to give him an explanation. Trust your gut and keep him out of your life. You'll see the difference when he's not meddling. Good luck. No P replies that. Is there anywhere I can find out what he said to the last girl? I contacted her. She refused to tell me. Another commenter says, I suppose you could trap him or set up a sting, but maybe it's time to step back and examine the relationship and how it's working for you in your life. And OP replies that with, I'm so desperate to know what he said to this last girl. Dude, we hooked up and all of a sudden she bails after he speaks to her in their own language, afterwards she doesn't even want to talk to me. And I feel like the commenters are correct in this. OP should just move on and cut this person out of their life completely. But whatever OP's friend, not real friend, has been saying to these people is obviously something pretty bad, to the point where they don't want to talk to him anymore. So it's either some lies that he's cheating, or that he's married, or that he's a drug dealer, or the other guy's threatening them, saying that he's gonna expose them or something. Like, clearly this other guy's threatening or scaring these girls into somewhere, thinking that there'll be some sort of retaliation. That was like the vibe I got from it. But he's obviously saying some bad things about OP that's making them very, very worried. Moving on. This next story comes from NG95. How do I, 34 male, tell my girlfriend, 34 female, that we're not ready for kids yet as a couple without discouraging her? Background: my 34 male girlfriend, 34 male girlfriend, 34 female, and I have been together for 3 years and lived together for 2. About 9 months ago, after a younger sister and best friend got pregnant, my girlfriend brought up children and said her biological clock was starting to tick and she had to start planning. It was an honest conversation. I said that while I was in a good place professionally, etc., and also wanted children, one day, I didn't think we as a couple were ready. I explained that I was worried we were in a bit of a rut, both because we weren't doing new things, and because our intimacy had gone down significantly, not just in terms of passionate hugging, though that was a big part of it, but also just in terms of spending quality time together. She said we'd work on it in the coming months. A few months after that, things hadn't changed too much, and we ended up getting into a huge fight after she cancelled a trip we had planned. What? She cancelled a trip you had planned? Our first real vacation in over a year, to do something with her friends, whilst also being too busy to find another weekend. While the second conversation of that fight was much calmer than the first, she asked me point blank if I was happy, and I said that I felt like since the baby conversation, things had gotten worse, not better, but that I held out hope that things would improve. She sort of ended the conversation abruptly, and then she left on a trip with her friends before we could pick it back up. There was a 2-week gap, but she was super busy, so we didn't have a chance to talk. Okay, I love my girlfriend, but she isn't great at communication, and not just in our relationship but across the board. Tends to take things very personally and gets defensive, so she avoids difficult conversations. When she was back, I noticed she was trying to implement what I brought up, even as she was avoiding the conversation. I held off on bringing it up, and while the changes weren't completely addressing my concerns, things got a bit better. Last week, my girlfriend brought the baby thing up again. At first, I avoided the subject because I didn't want to discourage her efforts by saying that we're still nowhere where we need to be. Then I realised that was feeding into the communication issues by doing so. So I said that I felt like we'd made some progress, but that kids were a big deal, and that while I understood her concerns regarding her bio clock, we couldn't rush in the decision. I said I noticed her trying more, and that I really appreciate it, but that there's still work. She said she appreciated the honesty, but has since gotten a bit distant. How do I bring this up? That is, what I need from the relationship, and what I think the healthy version of our relationship looks like. Up again, in a way that doesn't alienate her, but that allows her to speak productively and come up with a plan. TLDR, girlfriend wants to start planning to have kids, but we're not there yet. Our communication issues make it difficult for me to point out, but our relationship is still falling short, but I think we really need to have that conversation. And now for this one, I am not going to read the comments because I looked at the comment section and it was a mess. Everyone was ragging on OP, and a lot of stuff that they were coming up with was just things that OP didn't say. They were like, oh well, the communication issues are your fault because you won't speak to her. But in the post, OP clearly says that he knows there's communication issues and how she gets defensive, and when they were going to have this conversation again, he didn't want to speak to her, like he was deflecting. But then he realised when he started to do that that was not going to be the right approach, and it was just going to make things worse. So just decided to be brutally honest with it. And I don't know why people were ragging on him for that, because he did the right thing. He didn't do the right thing at the start of the conversation when she brought it up, but once the conversation was brought up, he thought to himself, you know, I need to be brutally honest here and have this conversation. And I think the problem here is generally communication. Also though, the fact that you have brought up intimacy issues and the trip that you were meant to go on, something that you haven't done for ages, and she cancelled it to go on a trip with her friends. That's more worrying to me, because you'd think, because obviously this happened a while ago, that she would have went on the trip to make things better, but instead she'd cancelled the trip that you'd planned and put time and effort into so you could be together and work on your relationship to hang out with the friends. So to me, that's kind of alarming. I think at this point, you should consider couples counselling, and then if that doesn't work, then ultimately you should split, because it seems like you two do not communicate well, and you planned a trip, and that for me is a big one, because that would have been a great opportunity just to forget about everything and just reconnect, and she chose to go out with her friends instead and do something with them instead of the trip that you planned together. Presumably a trip that you planned because you really wanted to work on things and have that opportunity to find each other again. But yeah, the comment section's a mess on this one. It's just a bunch of people blaming Opie for everything and not really acknowledging the fact that the two aren't on the same page, and that they kind of completely ignore the fact that she bailed on the trip that was meant to help them reconnect as well. So yeah, read it for you. Moving on. This next post comes from T Explorer 1711. My dad overheard my father-in-law saying a sexist comment about my professional life. My husband, male 32, and I, female 30, have lived together for 5 years, and we got married a few months ago. So here are a few things for context before getting into the story. 1. My father is wealthy. He's not super rich, but money is definitely not a worry for him. He's very generous with people around him. For instance, he paid for one of my cousin's college, and he sponsors several children on a foster house. But he has always made it clear that his money is his, and not my sibling and I's. If I asked him for money, I'm sure he wouldn't say no, but it's not something I was taught to do. 2. Me and my husband are going through a rough year financially. He works as a freelancer, and he hasn't managed to land any well-paid gigs. I am studying a PhD full-time, which I get a minimal wage due to an award I won, and I also have 2 research jobs that give me some extra cash. Right now I am earning 90% of our household income. Will be important later. 2 years ago I was working full-time with a decently paid job, and my husband had a great year, which allowed us to save for us to be okay this year. We would obviously be better if I had asked my dad for money, but we don't really need it. We can afford rent and food and still manage not to spend all our savings. I don't hide our finances from my family, so everyone knows it's been a rough year, but they also know we are okay. Now here is the story. I was talking with my dad, and he asked me if I needed any financial support. I explained what our situation is right now and told him we are okay, but I'll let him know if we need something. I asked him why he asked this to me, since he rarely offers money to my siblings and I in this way. Now here's the important part. During my wedding a few months ago, my dad overheard a conversation between my father-in-law and his friend. They were saying that my husband was very anxious because he couldn't afford to give me a good life, and he has been particularly worried since I quit my job and started studying. I know for a fact that my husband doesn't think this. We are very open with our finances, and he knows it's not his sole responsibility to finance our household. Some years he earns more than me, and others I earn more than him. It's not a big deal for him. My dad approached my father-in-law and said that he knew about our financial situation, and he knew we were okay. My father-in-law said, quoting, "What my dad told me, well, husband has all the financial weight since OP decided to quit her job and go back to school. Also, they can't rely on her. Women can have an income to feel special, but it's not like she'll ever have a men's professional life." My dad kept insisting that my student salary was still okay, and pointed out that my salary had been higher for over half the time my husband and I have lived together. My father-in-law kept dismissing my work because it's just so she feels helpful. It's not a real career. I know they were trying to guilt my dad into giving us money, but the things they said are very hurtful. A few years ago, I overheard my father-in-law and this same friend of his saying that what OP is doing with her PhD is very impressive, but can you imagine how hard it would be for a guy with a real career to do this? She could study whatever she likes and enjoys her hobby, but if it was a man, it would be so hard. So I 100% 100% believe what my father told me. I'm meeting with my in-laws next week, and I want to say something, but I'm not sure what to say. How can I confront him? Is it worthy, or should I just continue with my life and ignore his sexist thoughts because there is no point? TLDR, my father-in-law said my career is not the same as a man's, and I don't know how to confront him. Now, there's multiple comments in this one that I'm not going to go through, but the general gist of it was that OP should get the husband to confront his father, OP's father-in-law, because it's the husband's responsibility to deal with his family. But after reading through the post, I was sat there and I was thinking to myself, but there was this comment years ago, right, where father-in-law said some of the sexist stuff, and OP's husband didn't defend her. And then I also thought about the conversation that OP's father overheard when they were at the wedding, about the father-in-law saying that the son was in financial disarray and how he was worried about providing for the family, right? And I thought to myself, that doesn't come from nowhere. No, the father-in-law, he's sexist, he's horrible, he's a piece of work, that's for sure. But what he's saying isn't coming from nowhere, and unlike the commenters, I have a weird feeling that in some way, OP's husband is contributing to this. He's 100% contributing to this by not standing up to his father in the first place. But I also think that OP's husband behind OP has been whining and complaining to his side of the family, and OP doesn't know, and this is where this is coming from. It might be the father-in-law taking stuff out of context, but I think it's somewhere OP's husband has said something that has given the father-in-law this kind of ammunition. The husband's either said something similar, or the husband said something about worrying about the finances, and then the father-in-law's taken it out of context and used it to blame OP. One of the two ways that I think about this. But yeah, if I was you, OP, you really don't have a father-in-law problem, you have a husband problem. So I'd be talking with your husband and saying, these are the things your father's been saying, you need to step up and deal with it. And then at that point, you will see what side your husband stands on, and if he is reluctant or refuses to do it, then you know that he either partially agrees or has in some way encouraged this by not shutting it down in the first place. This next post comes from Good Hornet 4814. My girlfriend 39 of 1.5 years told me she won't be able to see me while she gets another degree. TLDR, my girlfriend 39 of 1.5 years told me 38 she wants to get another degree and won't be able to see me while she's working on it. She says it's my call if I want to stay in a relationship. Should I stay? My girlfriend 39 of about 1.5 years got a different job recently and has decided she needs to get an additional degree to help her career. She's been talking about it for a while, and I've been supportive of her decision. We recently looked at a few methods that she could take to reach her goal. A couple of months before this, I brought up the subject of moving in together. Neither of our houses are big enough, though, so it would mean finding another place. She said that her finances were really tight, and she couldn't make it work right now. Part of the reason for the new degree would be so she could earn more income. We both have kids and don't get to see each other a lot. She works more than one job too. We probably see each other around 2-3 times a month on average. We talk and text daily. There are a lot of times we could see each other more, but she is always busy with one thing or another, and always has a lot of reasons why she doesn't have time to get together. She doesn't feel good because she's stressed. She needs to get her house cleaned. She needs to prepare for a work event, etc. She sees a counsellor and had a session today. Apparently she brought up a plan to get another degree, and the counsellor asked her how she planned to balance that with work, her kids, and me. She says she hadn't thought about that before, but it would probably mean that she wouldn't be able to see me for several months because she would be too busy. So she tells me about this tonight. She says she's really stressed and doesn't know what to do. She knows that wouldn't be fair to me, but she would be upset with herself if she didn't get this degree. I replied, so it sounds like you think about breaking up? She said no. So I asked her what she wants from our relationship. She replies, I don't know. She says she knows we don't see each other, but she just can't handle being around people sometimes. She needs time to herself, and she needs to be at home. I asked if she wants to be with me. She said she does. I told her that she's very high in my priorities, and that I think about our future. I told her that I want to see her more, and someday to live together with each other, and get married. I asked if these were things she wants too. She said she hadn't thought that far ahead. She said she does know that she can't do those things until her youngest is in high school. Her youngest is in 2nd grade. I said it doesn't really sound like you want to be with me. Then she tried to deflect and say I spend a lot of time out of town. I said I only spend time out of town because she isn't available. I'd rather spend time with her. So she says, I guess it's up to me to decide if I want to keep things the way they are. I said, it sounds like you've already decided about us. She doesn't consider us a priority in her life and isn't willing to put any more energy into the relationship. She said that she just doesn't feel like she can give me what I want and doesn't want to be unfair to me. She said she always puts other people's needs before hers. When we started dating, we discussed all this stuff. She said she was on the same page and wanted the same things. She's the one that has to be exclusive. Talked about moving slow because we both have kids and didn't want them to get attached and get hurt. She initiated when we met each other's kids. She initiated when we met each other's families. I've been super patient and let her see our progress pretty much. When I asked her what she thought about living together, and she said she couldn't handle it yet, I let go. I didn't keep pushing about it. Now she says she has commitment issues, which have never been communicated before. She says she's really never thought about our future before now. She wants to be with me, but it's my call, and the relationship will stay how it is if I want to stay. She said she's just starting to figure this stuff out, and that she wants to be with me. Should I stay? Now we're going to move down into comments, and this comes from Her Name is Fable. This relationship is dead on arrival, because you want to see each other 2-3 times a month. I have kids and my boyfriend has kids. We've been dating for 3 years now and still don't live together. We're to take our time for the kids, but we make sure to see each other 2 to 3 times a week. More if we can. I've known him to drive to a different supermarket close to my house just so he can sneak in a kiss. You need someone who's more excited about you. This has gone on for long enough. Time for you guys to end things, or she'll ghost you. She's already slow fading you out. I don't think there's much more to add to that comment. It's now pretty much spot on. Another commenter says, she's making you dump her because she doesn't want to be the one to call it off for whatever reason. And when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, what could the reason be why she doesn't want to call it off? And I can only think of really 2 things. The first thing is that she doesn't want to be the one who's doing the dumping. She wants to be the one who gets dumped. And then that way she can save face, and rather than saying, you know, I was the one to end things, she can say, oh well, I had this new career and I wanted this degree and he didn't support me in that, so that's why he dumped me, because he didn't want me pursuing this new thing. And then OP looks bad and she looks good. She gets the sympathy, and the friends, family, acquaintances, everyone in the life blames OP, because obviously she's the one telling the story about how, oh well, I wanted to pursue this new career and I need this new degree to get to this new place and he wouldn't let me. And then the other thing is there someone else? You can't tell from the story. But all this time that she spent with OP and she's doing other things. Is she doing other things or not? We don't know. We can't tell from the story. That's something OP has to figure out. But in this situation, it just seems like she doesn't want to be with you. And this degree thing is not going to be a few months. It's gonna be a long time. Degrees do not take a couple of months. They take a long time, so... and even the whole marriage thing. Her kid's in 2nd grade, and she doesn't want to marry OP until her kids finished high school? What? That's years away. Years and years away. And she's 39, and OP's 38. So what? Yeah, I'll be probably best to let this one go, because this is not going the way you want it to. And it seems like you're in different places and want completely different things out of life. But yeah, sorry OP for this one. This has to be pretty rough for you.